Hi everyone, it's Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I am glad that you're here and watching this video. I will be putting together some Project Life type pages for April and getting started on April. And just a reminder, this year I'm not doing weekly or monthly. I'm just kind of gathering up my photos monthly, seeing what I have, and then building my spreads from there and seeing what kind of stories I see from those photos. I always love to start with a title page, and so I pulled this family photo from when we went to the movies, also grabbed this journaling card, and as you can see, I've done some stacking of stamps over on the empty space on the right. So I am going to put together the page and then move on to the next little story. And there is down at the bottom of that journaling card, it says like pieces of my story. And I obviously want it to not say that because it's not just about me. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that up with a stamped phrase. And I took a 1-inch circle and stamped highs and lows, and it actually fit perfect. And then I was able to adhere it right over that, and it worked out. I love it. And I'm also going to add a bunch of the die cut flowers from the digital kit. In the physical kit, they are the vellum ones, but I'm going to use a ton of the digital ones because I love them. They're really fun colors, and I'll probably just use them throughout the month of April to kind of tie all the pages together. Okay, so stamping. I grabbed a bunch of my Stories by the Month stamps. I've been a subscriber probably since the beginning, so 5 years. I have Love This, Now, Spring Stories, and Current Pieces of the Story. And I want to add 2 little clusters of the flowers somewhere in my stamping column. I had a little bit of trouble deciding which one would go next to Spring Stories. I couldn't get it quite figured out, the angle, so I decided to just take out the 2 that I had and go with a completely different flower and call the page done. So the next page that I'm going to be working on is another really simple one. So just had to add that flower, stop messing around with it, and move on, right? Because sometimes we get hung up on the little details with projects, right? I also added one last phrase and called it good. Okay, so moving on to the next one is about my husband and I celebrating 19 years together. And so I wanted to just document that. I also wanted to include a photo from a hike. Since I don't know at this point with my April plan if I will do a page about our hikes. Some months I do, some months I don't. And I really loved this photo of us on a hike, so I went ahead and used that photo. I also dug in my ColorCast design stash and found You and Me, and that will work perfect. So I'm just going to go with blues and greens, do a little bit of stamping. I grabbed this label. I think it's from Allie Edwards' Day in the Life. I don't know, but I grabbed it because it works perfect. I also have this transparency number that I went ahead and stapled, and then I'll use double-sided adhesive tape to make sure that it actually sticks to the photo. I will also grab the EXO Story Kit stamp, and I'll do just a little bit of stamping behind the acrylic piece, and that's it. Very simple, to the point type of page. I didn't feel like it needed a lot of journaling. It felt self-explanatory, and also I could always do a more in-depth project from my own personal album. But I still felt it was important in our family album to have just a little story about being together for 19 years. So I did decide to take off the white portions of the shadow photo just because I didn't want everything to be too squished in there, and I just wanted to have more room. Sometimes that happens when you're doing pages outside the page protector. Sometimes you can use the white borders, sometimes you can't. So it just depends on how you print your photos. So I kind of eyeballed where I needed to put the XO circle stamp, and I got it right, and so that was really exciting. So I have a circle behind the Y and a circle behind the E. Also add in 2 stamped hearts, and then in kind of a teal ink, currently loving and so very thankful for you. perfect, sweet little page to document this big occasion. And then after that, I'm just going to use my blue glue pen to go ahead and adhere it down. I think I've mentioned this, but this blue glue pen has been my favorite for years, and it works perfect to adhere everything down. So after this page, I'm just going to have a really sweet, simple story to document for April. And that's kind of the fun thing about this project, is being able to look at my photos and seeing what catches my eye, what stories I'm drawn to tell. And so that's been really fun. So one Sunday afternoon, my daughter was really into her bike. You know how kids, they get into things and then they get out of things. So my daughter was into her bike and she was riding all over the place. And then she asked me if we could walk down, or she would ride, I would walk down to the local park, which is like a mile. And she did not expect me to say yes. And I said, yeah, sure, sounds great. And she was just overjoyed. I mean, beaming with joy. And when we talked about it at dinner and, what's the best part of your day, she said that was the best part of her day. And for me, it was too. It's just really awesome to be able to do that and just have the time to do that on a Sunday afternoon. I have a ton of these flowers, and I also took another teal flower that matched that chipboard, and I die cut some of those from an April digital kit last year. And so my plan is just to make one big cluster and then two other really small clusters along the page. That way I have that triangle and that helps your eye flow around the page. The chipboard says just happy and embracing it, and it's like right next to the two photos on the right hand side. So I love that. It's so fun. And I was able to use the white borders around the photos. And then I'm just going to tuck in that teal flower along with a green one. And those are again die cut from the digital kit. For the little journaling spot on the left-hand side, I took the teal flower and cut it in half. That way it almost looked like it was a real physical journaling card, and I was stopping the flower where the journaling card would stop, if that makes sense. That's why I drew that line, so that way I knew where the cluster should be placed, where the physical card would be, if that makes sense. So it was kind of like a faux pretend journaling card, and that's why I picked the placement for my flowers down in the bottom left. I then took those scrap piece of green and added it up at the top along with the other half of the teal flower. And then I just went ahead and talked about the story about how this little simple activity made my daughter so happy. And it's just so nice to be able to go on this walk together. And she loved how this is something I've done since the kids were little, but I would always tell them, okay, I can see that blue car. You can ride your bike up to there and then come back. And she loves that. And now she can go like super far away from me, and she just loves that. Feels like a big kid, right? And so I love those special little moments. They're always the best, right? So I had to add a few more lines down at the bottom because I always wind up journaling so much. And once I have this done, I can move on to the next page, which is going to be all about week in the life. So I now have 3 pages for April. I don't know how many I'm going for, but this is going to be a good start to April. And I apologize for my camera. I don't know why all of a sudden it looks yellow, but I didn't change anything, so I'm not sure. But this is week in the life, and I wanted to do kind of just a summarized page of my favorite photos. Basically, that's it. I'm going to have a little spot for journaling, just basically saying what this project is and what I did during this documenting week, and that's it. And it just makes it super easy and simple to come together. On this page, the photos I think I had printed using my app Print-A-Size, and that tends to print a little bit bigger. So this time I could not use the white borders, which is fine. And I also have like a weird sized family photo at the dinner table. It's not any traditional size, but I wanted to make sure that it would fit and I would be able to use it. I also decided to take these 2x2 photos and go ahead and trim them down to 1.75 by 1.75. That way I could fit all of them that I wanted to fit. Because when I was placing them down on the spread, I wound up with like a whole row that I couldn't even fit. And I will also have 2 spots, I think it's 2 spots, to put in some chipboard and some stamping. And this time for flowers, I will go ahead and stamp the flowers and then fussy cut them out. So on the left-hand side, those are kind of like my big favorites for the week. Definitely included a family photo, one of each of my kids, and then of course the big family activity that we did. And I'm just going to trim this family photo just a little bit more so it matches the other vertical photos. And I just wanted to say too that if you watch my behind the scenes video, you know that I was intending to do a 6x8 album with page protectors going forward. Now I'm not so sure. I don't know. Like, I want to use less plastic page protectors, but I also love that they keep everything safe. So I'm just really torn. So that's why this project that was going to have a 2x2 page protector is now on a piece of white paper because I'm just unsure at this point. And I'd love your thoughts if you want to leave a comment and share your thoughts. I don't know if I should do a bound journal or I should go back to 6x8. So that's kind of where I'm at with Project Life. I am going to stick to not using page protectors for now because I think I am going to do another bound journal, or else I will get my Happy Planner punch and do like a disc system. That way things come out a little bit easier because I love doing the bound journal, but I want easier ability to take things out. So I'm really on the fence, but I wanted to move forward with my family stories. So that's why I got started on April and just stopped thinking about it and overthinking, right? This is the tricky part about like going off the path of traditional Project Life, you know, using the 6x12 or 9x12. It's just, you're on your own. At least it feels that way. Unless you guys want to chime in, which would really help. So I am putting down all my different photos. I had 2 that I wanted to switch the spots. So that's why I'm like holding them on my fingers, because I decided at the last minute that I wanted them in different spots. I have 2 photos that kind of had some red in them, along with me wearing a red shirt. So there's almost 3. So I wanted to make sure those 3 photos were kind of separated and not near each other. And once I have those all finished up, I can go ahead and grab my chipboard and also the floral stamp set that I want to use. I want to say it's a 1 little word stamp set. I don't remember, and I don't even know if it's available. But I'm going to go with some bright blues and yellows and green flowers, and then just go ahead and fussy cut out those. Like I said, keep it very simple. I am really happy with the simple approach for my April pages so far. I will say that when I was stamping this green, I thought, okay, you know, orange might like look nice as the outline over it. It did not. So then I stamped black, and my green flowers kind of look like Halloween flowers now to me, because you can kind of still see the orange outline and you can see the black, and it's a green flower. I don't know. What did I say? Overthinking, right? So anyways, I still use the green flowers, even though I got Halloween vibes from them, or October vibes. But I did make some more of the blues and also the yellow flowers. And then there's 3 different flower centers in this stamp set. So I went ahead and used all 3 of them to give each of the different colored flowers a different center. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut those out and figure out where I can place them. And one of my things that I love to do on so many projects is to cut my die cuts or flowers or stamped things in half and be able to use them in a different spot. Totally stretches, you know, your stamped image, stretches your supplies and makes it so much easier. Okay, bringing the pages back together, and now I'm going to figure out where everything goes. I want to use that big chipboard up at the top. It says the story goes something like this, and underneath that I will have all 3 different flowers. So a yellow one, a green one, and a blue one, and just tuck them right underneath there. I also have a stamp that says week in the life, and I already placed that down, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. That way it's kind of obvious that this is week in the life. And like I said, below the family photo, I can go ahead and kind of write out what this project is. And I will stamp over there, this is our life, which I don't know where this week in the life stamp set is from. I don't know which year. I think it's 2020, but I'm so glad I got it because I've used it so many times. I also took 2 of the halved flowers and put them on the right of the week in the life. And I'm really happy with that choice because I am going to add the dates in a little bit. It's not going to turn out great, but that's okay. I still wanted the dates in there and I got them in there. Down by my son's photo, I put highs and lows. He went on a big trip this particular week, so that was really exciting for him. My kids' school, they go on a lot of field trips, and they have not been able to do that for a few years. So it's been really exciting for my son to be able to go on one last field trip before he graduated that school. I then decided to stamp So Love, which is a similar font to the week in the life, and just cut that out in a square and go ahead and pop dot it. That way there was a little something over there, and it just adds to the overall movement of the page. So glad that I added that little spot in there. So I just put documenting our lives in an in-depth way this week. Love this scrapbooking and documenting project. Last little thing that I have is the dates. I have a little roller stamp date thing, and I knew I didn't need the year. Obviously, we know I'm working in 2023, but you still can't really tell that it says April, but I got 24 there and I stamped it a few times to make it a little messy, and then I switched it to 30 and I stamped that a few times, and then it was done. So there you go. So good and so much fun and so easy. This one is even easier. It is Easter. I am not a traditional Easter type of designer. Is that the right word? I don't know. I don't do the bunnies and all the bright colors. I just don't. And when I printed out these collages using that app, PicFrame, we are all wearing blue. So I figured, why not just run with the blue? And I dug in my stash and I found this chipboard that says details of right now and another one that has light blue spots on it. I also found this happened April stuff. So I just brought all that stuff together, and I'm just going to make 2 big clusters and then another small one. Super easy, super simple, and calling it done, right? It's pretty self-explanatory that this is Easter and I don't need to make it complicated. And I think that we can all use projects that are not so complicated, right? And like I said, printed these collages on PicFrame. And I do have a tutorial or a real tutorial on my Instagram of how I use this app. But if you guys want me to post one on YouTube, just let me know and I can do that because I love this app. It makes it so easy, and I can make pretty much a dozen different types of collages. So I'm mixing in die cut flowers and also the vellum flowers as well. And I've grabbed some word phrase stickers that I will use so I can put in good times, family, love, because I really love that photo of my kids with their Oma and their Opa. That is so special. I also have in the bottom right a really tiny cluster with a circle chipboard that says just this. And then I put today and moment capture. And that's really it. It's so much fun to make these pages. Okay, so I am going to call this a good start to April. I have several pages now done for April, and I'm just going to show you them real quick. And I hope that you have enjoyed seeing these come together and seeing me start on a new month for my family's project life. Okay, so I open up with this monthly page. I really love the die cuts in the digital kit. And the next page right on the back is going to be this one, just a simple one to celebrate our 19 years, followed by just a really simple story about how happy my daughter was to go to the park. I wanted to make sure to include that. You also saw me put together Week in the Life. Very simple page with grids and florals and 2 chipboards, and call it done. Lastly, I did an Easter page, and everybody is wearing blue. So I went with blue and a little bit of green. Again, grabbed those flowers, those florals, and this time I did use some of the vellum, and I built the clusters kind of where the shoes are. It just made sense to me. And I felt like Easter is self-explanatory, so I am not gonna use some journaling. And that is it. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing all these pages come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Have a great day. Bye.